Hi, good afternoon, grade 11s. This is Mr. Mohana once again, as you can see. So let me just start with the learning objective for today's lesson. So it's all about internet technologies, guys. Especially here, then after the learning objective, I'm expecting you guys to be able to describe and discuss what is voice over the internet protocol and video conferencing, and discuss advantages, disadvantage of the VoIP and video conferencing. Differentiate different types of the transaction you can perform online. So these are the things that we are going to cover as much as this chapter is concerned for today. So, okay, starting. What is a protocol, by the way? So the chapter is all about digital communication, but remember, so anything digital, then we know it's happening over the computer networks, and then we're using the computer. And then now, what is a protocol? A protocol is like a rule that governs how the devices connected on the network uh, exchange the information. Like, for example, HTTPS, FTP, those are the types of the protocol. Like, for example, if I want to use the email application sending out the emails, I'm using the simple mail transfer protocol. Then, but when I'm using the same application, but I'm reading the email, that is called post office protocol. So these are the rules that governs how the devices connected on the internet or network, they should be able to exchange the information among them. Now, what is the digital communication? As we can see, digital communication, define the term. So you see, it's very simple, guys. So it's a means of communication via the computer networks, as we can see. And if you've got a network, we know what is a network. Connection of two or more devices through a dedicated link. That could be a copper cable, the fiber optic, the coaxial cable, or we can even just use the satellite dish for the wireless network, and the microwave towers. Then those are the types of network communication that we can use. Digital communication is a data transfer from one computer to another. Understand? So like I said, then we are transferring this, but how? Through the computer network. So that's a digital communication that we know is a transfer from data from one computing device to another. So then how do we do this? Like I said, I spoke about the protocol. A protocol is a set of rules needed for communication and data transfer between the devices. Like I stated, some of the examples of the protocol, like a VoIP is one of the protocol that will put more emphasis on it, like as it's called the voice over the internet protocol. And now it determines how the data will be sent and received and how error will be fixed. All devices will have to have the same protocol. Like, for example, internet protocol to be able to communicate via what? The internet, you understand? So therefore, must have the same protocol in order for us to communicate. But now I'm going to talk about this protocol particularly, as is very important nowadays. As in, like, is one of the examples of what I'm doing currently right now on the Zoom. Because now I'm using the voice over the internet protocol. It's a way of making telephone call via the network such as the internet. Transfer voice data in the same way as digital data. So that is voice over the internet protocol. So I believe we all. Now let's check examples and equipment that are needed. Equipment needed, we need special Skype phone or headset. A program such as the Skype, the Zoom, webcam, or video phones to make video calls. As you can see these examples here, when you see this person here is making a video call on this device here, because this is a Skype phone, then as in the Skype, like you can be able to see them. Like you can also be able to host the video conferencing. So that is what is happening in there. So this is what is so-called the voice over internet protocol. So these are the examples of the application that can be used, like I said before. Then we've got those task-specific programs. So we've got what is so-called the network communication applications, or the communication applications in symbols like the Skype. So you can only just use it to communicate over the network. There's nowhere else you can be able to use the Skype other than using it for the communication purpose, like your Facebook, your WhatsApp. All these are the communication applications. Then you know what is application? It's a program that help you to accomplish a certain specific task. So these are the typical examples of these programs that we normally use. Like for example, if you see here on this illustration here, you see all these people here, they've got meeting. On this meeting here, they are using what is so-called video conferencing. It takes place when more than two people take part in the same conversation by means of what? VoIP. So that is what is so-called a video conferencing. Then you know, if ever the question comes, then they ask you what is video conferencing? It's the type of communication that takes place when more than two people take part in the same conversation by means of what? The voice over internet protocols. Like as you see here, like we said in this era that we are in now, so we are talking about the space shifting and time shifting. In terms of traveling the world, then so you're just saving the cost, then you don't have to travel around, then you can just have a meeting in here using this type of technology that is supporting the voice over the internet protocol. So like your Skype is one of the applications that can be used to have this. Then you can use Zoom. There are so many now. Let's talk about the advantage of using the VoIP. No need for the telephone line. You can make a call anywhere as long as there's an internet connection service, such as the broadband connection available. One can make VoIP calls from any computer, cell phone, tablets. It's very cheap in terms of the data rate charges. The local and international calls cost the same. Skype to Skype calls are free. You can pay, however, for the data that is transferred in the process only there. So that means we are saving the cost here. So we are minimizing the cost. So that's how all this is all about. As we continue the advantage, also it's possible to make video calls, in which case you'll be able to see the person you are talking to. Possible to make the conference calls speaking to more than one person at a time. That is what is happening right now on the Zoom. Can send other kind of the data, e.g. the text message, photos. Like for example, you guys, if you want to talk to me, then you always share your message on the group chat. It's just a very simple, a very typical example that you can use just for you to remember all this. Program needed for web calls are usually free. You understand? So that's one of the advantage about it. You know, guys, we understand for everything, we do have some advantages, but we must also consider the bad side of it. So let's have the drawbacks about it or the disadvantage. Sound quality of the voice call is not as good as normal as telephone. Can use a lot of cap, especially when video calls is made. Transmission can break up during the call. Some data may be lost or data transfer may be slow. You need to buy data bundles if calls are made to an ordinary phone. So these are some of the disadvantages, but anyway. So now let's talk about the good practice, because as much as then we are using this, guys, some people, even technology itself, and some people, they might take advantage of using it in a wrong way. But now we need to observe what are the good practices in terms of using this voice over internet protocol. Don't use video if the transmission break up regularly or become slow. That's what you must avoid. Ensure that the person you contact agreed to use what the VoIP, since a lot of cap is used, especially with their video calls. So you must make sure that you make an agreement before you start this. Now, like I said, we spoke about the protocols. Like I said, VoIP is one of the protocols. I spoke about hypertext transfer protocol. Then now we are talking about the file transfer protocol. Like we know, a protocol is a set of the rules that is used to govern how device connected in the network. This is the protocol that allows the transfer of the data via the networks, e.g. the internet. Let's have a look. FTP commands, let's check. An easy way to transfer large amount of the data. The user has Advantage of the FTP, an easy way to transfer a large amount of the data. Like for example, we know some big files like on email, you cannot be able to do some attachments. That is why we need some FTP or alternative of that, like what is this, OneDrive. The user has control over the data transferred. On some sites, data is protected by username and password exactly, because without having those credentials, then you cannot be able to access that. So it's very, in terms of the security, is very secure. Disadvantage, data is transferred, is not encrypted. So connection, that means if it's not encrypted, anyone can intercept that. So you are at risk that your data might be exposed to any risk imposed over the network. Connection to FTP site may be interrupted during the transfer. FTP is not secure protocol. So these are some of disadvantages. Now let's talk about the good practices on the FTP. You must ensure that you have good antivirus program installed on your computer to prevent distribution of that virus and other malware. That's it. And ensure that the firewall on your computer is activated. So remember, the firewall also always is monitoring incoming and outgoing of what the information on your system. So now, lastly, then I'd like you guys to define the following protocols. And then the following protocol, VoIP and FTP. And then these are the activities. Can describe how you will establish a telephone call using the VoIP. Your description must include the hardware and the software needed. Name 3 advantages and 3 disadvantages of what VoIP. Discuss safety measures needed for the data transfer over the internet. So I think that's it for the lesson for today. As much as, but before I can just quit or close this lesson, I'd like to, just a minute, I want to just share something again. Just a minute, you just bear with me. Okay, before I just close, then I'll just do this. Okay, just bear with me, just a minute, This is grade 11, okay? Okay. Okay, I'm just going to share this with you guys so that you can see what I'm talking about. This unit examine different types of digital communication, such as VoIP. Now we know when we are talking about digital communication, so that includes VoIP and video conferencing. And then here, as we have discussed, the advantage, disadvantage, and best practice related to each of them. So we've spoken about that as summary of this. VoIP, we know, is a technology that converts your voice into digital signal, allowing you to make call direct from your computer, VoIP phone, or other data-driven device. Like these are the examples of the VoIP technology. Like you see, all these devices are connected together now. VoIP has several key advantages over the traditional telephone exchange. For, like we said, setup costs are lower. And then as we spoke about them, as you can see here, like I've shared this book, then immediately when you go in this book, like for example, Skype using smartphone and tablets and computer, you can use VoIP, and Zoom can use that. Now, let's have a look on the video conferencing, like what you have seen here. So you see, video conferencing is linked to VoIP and is often referred as part of a VoIP contract. Video conferencing works by using what? An online platform to make or receive calls. The most popular of this is Skype, which is also a popular VoIP platform. So like I said, it's just trying to emphasize on what, like I said, these are the activities that I want you guys to do about today's chapter. So I think for tomorrow, we'll have to wait and talk about the online transaction. So these are the activities as I view them here. You can just go through these activities and try to complete this. Compare VoIP and video conferencing, tabulate the information, and then what is the difference between VoIP and video conferencing? So these are the extra questions that I want you to do, guys. So far, so good. I believe then I reached the end of the lesson for today. Till we see once again tomorrow. I'd like to say goodbye for everyone till we see again. Thank you so much. Pleasure. Hello.
Hi, Pomolo.
Hey, ma'am, how are you?
I lost connection.
Sorry.
I lost connection, sorry.
Okay, no problem. So then I think I've just reached the end of my lesson for today.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, because it seems like I'm having the technical challenges of the network where I am in my area, like I said, but at least fortunately today things did manage to work out. But we'll see for tomorrow.
Okay, thank you so much.
No, pleasure. Have a great.
I will have to send the video recording now to the YouTube administrator and ask him if it's okay, seeing that you are now saying that you're experiencing technical issues.
Okay, no problem. I'll hear from you tomorrow.
Okay, I will give you feedback. Thank you, Pomolo.
Okay, pleasure.